Alright, my beauties, today we are going to look at how to actually do what's called a two-column proof. So we're going to prove that we have congruent triangles, and a two-column proof has the statements, what are called the statements, on the left side, and the reasons on the right side. Okay, so statements, you're saying which parts are congruent, what do you know, and then over here would be the reason why, which definition, which theorem. The first reason is always easy. The first one is just given, because whenever we're doing a proof, we're given some information, and that's always the first thing that you put down. Okay, so in this example, we are given side MA is congruent to side AT, and side MH is congruent to side TH. So before you actually start the two-column proof, I always want you to mark your picture. So we're going to mark that we know those two sides are congruent, and we know those two sides are congruent, but I also have this reflexive side. So the main two things we look for is, do we have a reflexive side or do we have a pair of vertical angles? So those are two things we always look for in this assignment. So we have that reflexive side. Okay. So then in the actual proof, I write down what was given, and the reason is just because it was given to us. Okay, so it was given. But this is a pair of sides and this is a pair of sides, so I require that you put an S next to each one over here at the side to show I got one pair of sides, I got a second pair of sides. We marked this reflexive side, so that has to go into the proof. Side AH is congruent to side AH, and that's called the reflexive property of congruence. Okay, so reflexive property of congruence. That's going to be one that you'll use a lot. And here, though, is another side congruent to a side. So again, we put this little S, and look at, we have three parts. So we're able to say triangle MAH is congruent to triangle TAH by side-side-side congruence, because that's what we were trying to prove. And we always need three parts, because if you look at the notes from yesterday, we had SSS, SAS, ASA, and AAS. So we're looking for one of those four reasons. So here we ended with SSS congruence. So we're always going to end with one of those four reasons. So that's why we need to get three parts. All right, so example 2, we're given angle P is congruent to angle T. We're given side PA is congruent to side AT, and we're trying to prove triangle PAY is congruent to triangle TAR. So again, the first thing I want you to do is mark your picture. So I'm going to mark the fact that angle P is congruent to angle T, and side PA is congruent to side AT. But looking at the picture, I also see a pair of vertical angles, so I'm also going to mark those vertical angles congruent to each other. So now I need to get all those markings into my two-column proof. And the first one, again, that's the easy one. Everybody can do the first step. All you have to do is write down what was given to you. Angle P congruent to angle T, side PA congruent to side AT, and the reason, it was given. That's all you have to write. It was given. But now, this is a pair of angles, so I'm going to put a little A right there. This is a pair of sides, so I'm going to put a little S right there. Then I go back and look at my picture. Oh, I also had this pair of vertical angles, so that needs to go into my proof. Angle, PAY, is congruent to, that's supposed to be angle, angle TAR. And you have to use three letters because there's lots of angle A's. Okay, so angle PAY is congruent to angle TAR. And that's because vertical angles are congruent. That's called the vertical angle theorem. So you can either write vertical angle theorem or you can just say vertical angles are congruent. Well, that's a pair of angles, so I put a little A right there. Well, look, I now have three parts. Looking at the picture, the side connects the two angles. So I can now say the triangles are congruent by ASA congruence. And that's it for this set of notes. Good luck on the assignment.